So, how's everyone doing? Did you manage to get your hands on an AMD Big Navi card this week? No, I hear you say. Well, how surprising, knowing that AMD has been facing quite a lot of supply issues this time around, and this is exactly what we're going to be talking in today's video. But before that, I would suggest you get subscribed to this channel if you'd like to keep yourself up to date with the latest news in tech and gaming, because I happen to post quite a lot of videos around here. And now, let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room, the biggest Navi of them all, the RX 6900 XT, which is due to launch quite soon. So on December 8th, allegedly, and you're going to find out why I say that, this card is going to come out and it's going to cost about $999 MSRP. And the reason for which I said allegedly is because, again, AMD has been facing quite some supply issues in this case. Well, assuming that the RTX 3090 sold out for $1,500, which it did, and it sold out in mere minutes, I expected that the RX 6900 XT is also going to sell out and even faster. Now, why would I say such a thing? Well, just because the card is $500 cheaper, some gamers have tried to get their hands on an RTX 3090 and they haven't managed. And also assuming that you want the fastest gaming card for some games, so with a big asterisk over there, and you are to believe AMD's claims that this is actually faster than NVIDIA's offering, and you might also be inclined to do that given that the RTX 3070 is slower than the RX 6800, and the RTX 3080 is also slower than the RX 6800 XT. Man, that's always difficult to say. In some scenarios, of course, we're not talking about ray tracing performance, then you might be inclined to say, hey, I'm definitely going to try to get my hands on an RX 6900 XT. This video is going to be very complicated to make. Either way, the question in your mind might be, should I buy this card? And quite a few of you have actually texted me and asked me, should I get my hands, or at least try to get my hands on one of those cards? Well, assuming you have the money and you also want to have this extra bit of performance, then I should say, yeah, definitely go for it. But you might actually have a tough time to get your hands on it. Now, I already told you about some of those things previously with the comparison to the RTX 3090, but it's also important to note that AMDs are now facing issues with the RX 6800 and 6800 XT, and especially the custom cards. Now, if you have tried finding some reviews for the custom RX 6800 XT or the normal 6800 graphics cards, then you might have seen that not a lot of reviewers have managed to get their hands on them. Now they're starting to trickle down basically, but this should pretty much give you an indication of how big this, or like how widespread this issue is with those new AMD graphics cards. Now, I don't want to make everything really sensationalistic in this case, but it's also worth noting that AMD is working with TSMC to produce all of those chips for their graphics cards and also for their Ryzen chips. And knowing that TSMC is also working with Apple and by extension and with AMD and by extension Sony and Microsoft in this case, then you can understand why it takes so long to produce all of those chips and why AMD hasn't really managed to get more cards produced. However, it's important to also note that AMD has said that the MSRP for the custom models, so for the RX 6800 and 6800 XT, because we don't know if the 6900 XT is actually going to get any custom models. I remember seeing some rumors that there might be some chances that they're also getting, and if that has actually been confirmed, then you're definitely going to see that on screen or in the video description. Now, that's besides the point. They have said that the custom cards will not be selling at MSRP for about 4 to 8 weeks. And if you were trying to get your hands on any of the Gigabytes, the Asus's, the XFX's, then yeah, tough luck. What can I say? In this case, you might actually be stuck with AMD and their reference boards, which are not bad, like don't get me wrong. But if you were trying to get a custom model and you wanted it to be a bit more special, then sorry. However, there might be, something that is special, which is this RX 6900 XT, which is allegedly going to be able to boost up to a theoretical 3 gigahertz, which is insane. Like, even saying it, like talking about a graphics card and hearing that it can boost up to 3 gigahertz, That's completely bonkers. Now, if you look back at the RX 6800 and 6800 XT, especially the XT model, you might have seen that some cards were able to boost up to 2.65 gigahertz, and they were not going over the 70 degrees Celsius, which again sounds pretty crazy, and the performance coming out of those cards has also been excellent. However, I do suspect a lot of people are actually going to rush out and try to buy those cards now, thinking that, you know, people who were trying to get their hands on an RTX 3090, also people who were trying to get their hands on an RTX 3080 or the RX 6800 XT, they might have also saved up some more money and they're going to splurge it on the latest release at this point, just because they're very desperate to get their hands on a new graphics card. And you know, they might be future-proofing, as much as I say all the time that I hate this word. Now, compare this to the NVIDIA RTX 30 series launch, I would say that AMD has definitely had it worse. And that's not only because reviewers weren't able to get their hands on those graphics cards, and I'm also talking about retailers in Germany, the UK, Denmark, and outside of Europe, so that is the United States, Australia, and some other countries, were not able to get their hands on a lot of those graphics cards that they could sell to actual consumers. So in some cases, they managed to get their hands on like 2 or 3 graphics cards, I've heard, in the States, also 10 to 20 here in Europe, and also 100 in some good instances, but that sure didn't happen a lot. And trust me, even if that were the case, that's definitely not a lot of those cards that they were able to get their hands on and sell them to you, the consumer. Now, AMD has also sold the RX 6800 and 6800 XT to their Team Red Plus subscribers, and yeah, if you were able to get one of those cards like that, then congratulations, you might be really happy, but I would still think that that is unfair, and doing that, especially given that, you know, we were not definitely going to have any issues with our graphics cards, and we're definitely going to have plenty of stock for them, which, you know, it did not happen. Either way, I do have faith that AMD is actually going to manage to get a hold of more chips from TSMC, and I would assume that they are working hard, because that's pretty much printing money at this point. As many of those chips they can print, they're printing themselves more money. So I would expect those graphics cards to be available in a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, although that'll be pretty late because that's out of the holiday season. But don't worry, maybe you're gonna find them at a better price at the same time. Now, if you are not interested in any of those graphics cards, so the RX 6800, 6800 XT, the 6900 XT, or any of the NVIDIA RTX graphics cards, and you're more like me, so you don't have a lot of money left, you kind of have a hole in your pocket at this point, then maybe you might want to learn more about the RTX 3060 Ti or the RX 6700. Now, I've done videos on both of those graphics cards, and you're definitely going to find links to that in the video description, so definitely check that out. And I would also say that what I said in the beginning, actually, if you are interested in keeping yourself up to date with the latest news in tech and gaming, then definitely consider subscribing to this channel. The button should be somewhere around here. Let me know what you thought of the whole AMD RX versus NVIDIA RTX graphics cards launch in the comments down below, because I would be curious what people actually think about this whole mess that is going on right now. And other than that, what can I tell you? This has been Alex with the Red Elk, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.